Healing with Human Connection, where we have encouraging conversations about tough topics such as substance abuse, drug addiction, and mental health issues for those in the Northwest Indiana area. Our hope is to share information that will guide you to resources that can help you change your life so that you can live the life you were meant to live. Check out our website, www.healingwithconnection.com, to find a full transcript of today's conversation, along with a list of any resources or links mentioned in this episode. Enjoy the show.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Jeanne Cannon. This is Healing Through Human Connection, and what we do is bring topics and wonderful guests to you to talk about substance abuse, what it is, how to get help, how to recover, and of course we have Stacy Garcelon and Miss Lisa Scheller, who is actually a health coach and an author of From Fear to Faith.
Yeah, a family's journey with addiction, recovery, and grace.
That is so exciting. Mm-hmm. And of course, we welcome you, Heidi. Heidi is from Oaklawn, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself. So without further ado, Heidi Heckman, thank you for being here. Heidi is from Oaklawn, and really, Heidi, thank you for making the trek.
Yes. Thank you guys for having me. I found a new friend. You sound like resources to me. I have my work hat on, I guess.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Heidi is a recovery coach. Yes. So of course, for anyone listening, if you or a loved one struggles with any kind of substance abuse or mental health, I'm a therapist. I deal mostly in mental health. If you have a mental health or a substance abuse issue, we're so excited that you're here, Heidi, to talk to us about. Some people don't even know there's such a myriad of resources available for people. I mean, everyone knows about treatment centers and you go in, but tell us about you, a little bit of background on what it is to be a recovery coach.
Okay, yeah. So my name is Heidi Heckman. I just turned 40 this year.
Happy birthday!
Yes, I am married. I have a bunch of little children. Yeah. Maybe not a whole bunch, but together we have children. So so I have, my oldest is 17 and my youngest is 4.5. So kind of a wide range there. So kind of starting over a little bit, but I went through a long journey of addiction that I didn't really understand for quite some time. I guess it stems, a lot of times there's a why, right? Sure. So like I was young, things happened and I didn't learn coping skills. Mm-hmm. Drugs ended up being my coping skills. Mm-hmm. So I'm stubborn. It literally had to take everything away. Like my children, my oldest was with his dad. My youngest was taken into foster care. Like there's so many struggles, and it was like I was functioning until I wasn't, because I did it for years and years, and even like got myself off of things, different substances, because I went through all of them. It seems like more than once, and I would just kind of replace one with the other, or in between maybe do like some drinking, and always.
So all different levels and different types.
Yeah, but I never wanted to surrender to it. I think a huge thing in my journey was that awakening moment where I just didn't want to get clean to appease someone, and just be sober for that amount of time, like where I'm like, I want this for my life, and it was a hard decision, to be quite honest. It was harder. It's way harder than getting sober in my eyes. It was making that decision, but in making that decision, there was no going back, like, is it a perfect journey? No, of course not. It wasn't one day I woke up and I was like, I'm just never going to use drugs again, and that was it. But
wouldn't that be lovely to just have that magic wand to go, it's all done. It's
yes, it was.
It's that easy.
I know, but it's most definitely not. Sometimes it's messy and stuff, but like it's important to know that's okay. Like I think sometimes people they want it and it's like all these new feelings and they don't realize everything that comes with it. And then they go back and then it's like, well, you already feel so low, and you get to a point where you don't feel like you deserve it.
Yeah, right.
It takes you just to this dark place, and
shame. And
robs you of your dignity.
Yeah, because you do things that you wouldn't normally do. It's crazy how this disease will take you, where it becomes your only focus.
Right.
Like, yeah, you might be able to maintain some of these other things for a little while, but that is your focus, and you're not even really present in the other things that you can, because in the back of your mind, it's saying, "Hey,
How do I get my next whatever?"
yeah,
Yeah. Being a mom, having a job, being a wife, whatever. How do I get my next is the
yes,
overriding.
it is. It really is a driving force,
Sure.
you know.
Cunning, baffling, powerful.
But we lose our imagination, like, and it's so sad because, like, you can dream, and like, I remember thinking I would never be past that, and then I got past it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's all this other stuff, you know, like I didn't. It became such a foreign concept to me, because it's like you isolate yourself, and that connection is the key.
Yes.
I'm hearing a lot of studies that are even like where science is going to start backing that up. I feel like too, you know.
It is.
It really is. It's
We're
it's
literally wired for connection.
Absolutely.
Our nervous system is wired
Yeah.
for it.
absolutely, and it's a isolating disease,
Right.
and it does it. It knows what it's doing clearly.
Sure. Heidi, first of all, I just want to say thank you for sharing all that. That's a lot to share.
Yeah.
And that is so, I think, empowering for people to listen, the struggles that you've been through and how the addiction grabbed you and, as you said, made you do things you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah.
And that there's nothing to be ashamed of. That's just how it happens. And look at you now.
Yeah.
I think one of the best things I did, in fact, on the top 3, besides getting saved and marrying my husband, was forgiving myself.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Like a sober, healthy me, I'm not going to ignore my children. You know, I'm not going to pick drugs over that. That's not me, but the disease and the drugs will.
Yeah.
You know, so I just had to forgive myself. Like, did I fail for a moment at some times? You know, did I fall short? Yes, I did, but that's okay.
Right.
Right? Like, let's move forward.
Good for
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
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 Oh, you bring a tear to my eye. Well, tell us what it's like being a recovery coach then, and what is it for someone listening and struggling and thinking, "Wow, I could use a recovery coach." What is that, and what does it look like?
So, recovery coaching is a beautiful, beautiful. I'm so.
Excited.
I really am, because it's people with lived experience. Like, I know what it feels like to be dope sick or wanting more or can't handle my children or whatever is going on, or even life. I have no idea how to cope with everything. I understand how all those things are because I've been there, but I also have gotten out. And so I know that there is a pathway that's unique for everybody, and you can find your own. So I get to be there to support you and to help you find that path of your own.
Wow.
So
Beautiful.
And how literally is that done? Again, for someone listening, how do they even think about getting a recovery coach? Or what do you do? Do you meet every day, once a week? Is it like a sponsor?
it's definitely not a sponsor, but there's multiple ways too. You can go online at Oaklawn Psychiatric. Well, it's probably just oaklawn.org.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at Oaklawn Psychiatric Center, they do a wonderful job of presenting multiple pathways to a recovery coach. Whether it be you're already in services and you just ask your therapist. We have the Rapid Access, which is the cafe where I'm at, right up the road from Oaklawn, so it's not in a institution setting, you know, because some people, like, there's trauma, you know, like, I can't go there, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, you know.
Why go
They
and take my
unknown.
kids away?
Yeah.
Yes, there's so many
The
fears.
trust issue.
Yeah.
You know.
And there's, and there's legitimate reasons. Like, people, it's a rough
Bad
world.
things happen.
It is a viperous world out there. You know, you think you have these friends, but everybody else in that world, of using has that one thing over everything. Right. So there can't be this beautiful connection, and more important than you is that thing.
Yep.
So if I have to step over you to get that. I mean, I'm going to have to step over you to get that, you know?
In your usage.
Yes,
Yeah,
in your
the
usage,
addiction.
yes.
But in recovery, if someone's looking to get a recovery coach,
Yes, in recovery, so you can go to the Recovery Cafe. It's open 9 to 5. That's at 333 North Main Street in South Bend. It's in walking distance of Weather Embassy is going to be opening up soon. So that's a big, the homeless shelter, different things, Oaklawn. And that's a comfortable place where you don't have to come in talking about recovery yet. You're not there, that's fine. Grab a cup of coffee, sit down, you know, just a safe place. Place where you don't have to use, you know, like, especially like with women, I'm realizing, like, there's places where they don't get to go places where they don't have to use or do something, you know? So here's a safe place. Come in.
so for someone to find out more about the specifics about, again, where you're located or when do you go and what time, so they would just call Oaklawn.
You can call Oaklawn. That number is 574-283-1234. There is the press option 1, which is for our pretty new mobile crisis unit, which is another beautiful program where they have therapists and coaches go out into the community to avoid the 8th time the police have came for, it's like a mental illness or addiction. Like, so we don't always have to go with the emergency room or the police department. Sometimes we can come and we can intervene or de-escalate. Yes, and so we're not straining these other resources, and we're getting people help.
The help they need.
Yes.
Well,
Not
right.
the criminal charges and the judgment and the...
Not the punitive.
Build on like the criminal part, then it just builds on them to use more. They need to have somebody help them.
Yes,
Yeah.
There's light at the end of that tunnel.
it is. And
I love what you say. You gave us the example before we got on today a little bit. You said, Heidi, that if someone's hesitant, if I'm using and having problems, I'm scared to death to call anyone and reach out, to call and attend this recovery, you know, your cafe, and just listen.
Just hang out.
And just get a sense of, can I move forward or not?
that is one of the big things about the cafe is it's a
No
safe
pressure.
place. Yes, no pressure. There's, you know, a couple rules, of course, like don't glorify drugs or don't sleep on, you know, and even then, you know, sometimes they're bendable, but they're just regular polite rules, you know.
Yes.
But I mean, to get off, and then I do as much as possible, like trying to get resources like socks. I mean, I have people come in and, you know, they're cold or they just need, it's going to be raining season, you know, they need dry clothes. So we try to, if we don't have on site, to connect to other resources in our community. We are very active in always, that's what I said, finding resources. So, I mean, it's a part of like, and my recovery coach hat is on, that's always what I'm looking for, is more resources. Where can I send people to get that? You need that exact need? Oh my gosh, I know a place. Here you go. Yes. And
So if someone, even though that is in South Bend and Elkhart and Goshen, and you have outpatient primarily and one inpatient in Goshen, what you're saying is anyone can come to this cafe.
Oh, yes.
Find out information and say you're in Michigan City, maybe you'd be able to help them find things here. But this is such a safe haven. It might be a nice thing to do.
And so, and then we also have the QRT line, which they are like 4 different counties, if I'm correct. And so it's a simple number. Oh my gosh, please don't ask me because I don't have it. I can give it to you next time.
They can see it online.
Oh, yes, and definitely oaklawn.org. But and that's at least to call, you know, maybe like being in person, or maybe you don't have a vehicle or a ride or whatever, or you're kind of far away, but you still have questions. Like, and then the QRT line, they also, parents, family members, they can call, you know.
Loved ones of
that's
someone struggling.
You know, that's probably one of the biggest things is the misunderstanding of addiction. And I think as a whole, we can always be better, right?
Yeah.
We can always learn a little more. Yes, and it so is.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe Lisa, you can talk for a second about the fact of being a family member of someone who's struggling, and say that someone is not ready, even if it's a spouse or a sibling or a child, if they're not ready to get help as a family member, it's so important to understand our role
Yes.
and what we can do that can be helpful, what we do is enabling. I don't know, Lisa, do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, we've come so far in the recovery arena now over the past 10 years when we were going through this. It was just very limited resources. And I think what's important is that we do understand it's just not for the addict, it's for the family members, because they get caught up in this disease as well, because they're trying to fix it, they're trying to cure it, they're trying to make it go away, because it's just being such a inconvenience. It's really impacting the family. So I think, it's great that there are family resources out there now too, because the healing starts when everybody admits that there's a problem, and the addict has to get their help and the family has to get their help so that they can, move forward.
Healing, I think, is one of the keys.
Well, I'm so appreciative you brought that up, Heidi, about family members. So they can call your hotline.
Yes, they can. I mean, they could come to the cafe if they wanted to. We have plenty of people. And that lived experience, I understand addiction in the using aspect, and I also have a loved one. My husband is in recovery as well. So, I understand both sides of it. I'll tell you, coaching goes out the window when it's your loved one. I'm like, come here now. You're doing this, and unfortunately doesn't always work that way, And we have I see a lot of time people crippled by their family, and I can hear, that their family just loves them and they don't know what to do. They're exhausted. Maybe they've exhausted their resources. How many, times they've put their trust and money and resources and energy and time and hope into it. Yeah, and their hearts are broken. They see the light that the addict doesn't see.
Right.
And so they need help too, and they need to heal.
Well, and there's so many, as a family member of a addicted person, there's so many things we do that are right and so many things we do that are not right and not helpful. So education about
and support.
Yeah.
And the community support.
Well,
and I feel that's what really helped me, is that I did have a community of people that rallied around and tried to get us to where we needed to go. But it was quite the journey on the other side.
It is, and you're talking 10 years ago. There's so many resources in the last 10 years.
That's what the purpose of the whole podcast is, to let people know, number one is it's okay because it's not going to go away. And number two is we want to help you find those resources because they're available. And, it takes a community to bring it to the forefront and say, okay, we understand. Let's just figure out what the problem is and go with it.
Yes, and the cat is out of the bag.
Yes.
It touches everybody. It's a disease. The science is going to back it up. It's not, that stigma that, they just choose to do that. So they should just suffer with it, no, the cat's out of the bag now. It's a disease and it's crippling.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, gosh, thank you, Heidi. And, for anyone listening, you can call any one of us. You certainly can call Heidi herself at Oaklawn or call Oaklawn. Megan, thank you for all your tech help. But is there anything else, Heidi, that someone listening that you think you'd want to say to them if they're thinking, either a family member or a person struggling? Okay. What might be some thoughts that you'd want to leave with them about getting help and why it's okay to get help?
So I'll go on two sides of that.
Okay.
One side, I know it's scary. Change. It's as crazy and chaotic as that life looks on the outside. That's your normal. That's what you've gotten used to. That's where that imagination has went out, and you can dream that you can be past this, and it's possible. But you have to be the one to initiate that first step. It can be a question, a click on your mouse to look at something on your phone, a phone call, something. You have to start somewhere. So, and it's possible. I can't explain. It's possible. I promise you can do it.
And then it's a journey. That's your journey through it, and it's not a destination. Like one day you're this, and then the next day you're that, and it's going to be perfect, because it's not going to be perfect. We all have to go through. But
it's a journey. It's a beautiful journey.
What I see is I see people learn out of those step the wrong way, or those different slip ups. Even I see just immense amount of learning and growth in those moments. So it's okay. Anything that is bad can be also turned to good. So And then the other side, I'd say maybe your heart stirs, like you want to help people, right? You have a family member, you have lived experience. We do have a recovery coach training coming up.
Oh,
Yes,
nice.
in November.
Fantastic.
Oaklawn is amazing. They actually cover the cost for it.
Whoa.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's exciting.
That's
It is. So, Oaklawn.org, or they have a Facebook page. And
Yeah.
love is the answer. Love yourself and have people, and family members, love your people. Like that's,
Heidi.
I
It's
love
a-
that you said love yourself.
yeah,
Often
Yes.
the most difficult.
it's hard.
Yeah, and we got to start there, and then move on.
Yeah.
Right.
And if we can't yet love ourselves, let us love you until you can love yourself.
And that's the beautiful part about my job is because sometimes we're not people that we really like.
Right.
And so we have
That's
to
why
work
we
and
use,
change
right?
those things. Yeah. So I can love you just the way you come, I
Just
don't,
the way you come.
just-
And meet you
as
right
you are.
there.
yes, right there. That's
Right.
my
No
job.
judgment.
And that's where God has me doing that. So
Yes.
I'm glad.
Heidi, thank you
Thank you.
so
Thank
very
you
much.
very much for
Lisa,
being with
thank
us.
you so
Yeah.
much. Stacy, thank you. Megan, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. And our wish, as we say every week, is, as Heidi said so beautifully, not only be kind to yourself, but love yourself. And that's where it begins. And that's where you get the courage to reach out and get some help. Thank you. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, let us know by leaving a comment or review and sharing with a friend. All resources mentioned today and a full transcript of this episode can be found by going to our website, www.healingwithconnection.com. A video of this recording can be found on our YouTube channel, and the audio podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts.